step I take, I move my truth. Every time they tell me stop, I use every comment, hate that makes my fuel. Gather up my energy and boom, I hear them talking, saying the way that I move is so reckless. That is a part of my mind I've been blessed with, giving my blood, so I am relentless.
All right, we are with Brian Deegan on the Keep Hammering Collective. Dude, I cannot believe you're here.
Yeah, it's been a few years in the making. When did we start talking about this?
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known of you forever.
Okay.
Yeah, but I never thought that you'd be here. You are like, because I always say who I have on the podcast is outliers. And you are like the definition of outlier. And now, you know, I'm still older than you, but you know, you've been around a while and still fucking shaking things up. How does that work?
Yeah, I think it's just keep reinventing myself, and I feel like I love marketing, I love business, and, you know, in the categories that I enjoy. You know, I've been pretty fortunate not to ever have to do much that I don't want to do as far as like categories. But yeah, I feel like nowadays it's my category is more like mentoring my kids, I would say. And finding my space, my niche, you know. But I had all my years of action sports, motocross, supercross, car racing, all that stuff. And now it's, I'd say I'm a middle-aged man now. So I have that going on. So, and there's always an audience for that. So it's good.
Well, I know now I've been to a couple events and all I know is every time I'm around you, there's a million people yelling, Brian Deegan, Brian. It's like nonstop. People want a picture, want some time, something. So, yeah, I mean, you say you're middle-aged and like the dad thing, but man, you still got a presence out there. Yeah,
and in our sport, such as I'll say action sports and, you know, motorsports, I grew up more the 80s, 90s. I'd say 90s was kind of my era. And so those guys from the 90s that were young, teenagers that grew up in my era, action sports, militia, the whole vibe, and they are now their 40s and 50s with kids, and their kids are now following my kids. And now kids are all watching, consuming their content through YouTube. So, and we started our YouTube channel over, it must have been, it's over 10 years ago now. We've been doing YouTube, and we were one of the first ones in the motocross industry to do it. And we just stayed at it, and it has built the craziest fan base. I mean, more than I could ever think of, you know. It was people following the journey of our kids from when they were younger racing. And they first started watching because of my X Games and action sports and car racing. And then they were watching the kids, and I always felt like together was stronger. Okay. Like I, instead of investing my time in, you know, a lot of other things, which I say you have your stock value. Your name is your stock value to me, you know, and
you got one product.
One product is your brand, right? And that's your name, and that's your, you know, credibility. And so, and I am always invested back in my family, and I felt like that was important. And you know, I definitely had pushback of like, oh, why would you expose your kids, your family on YouTube and this, that? And I thought, well, you know, I get your point, but we've always shown action. You know, we don't show too much personal. It's just like, okay, we're filming and showing what we're already doing, which is racing. You know, racing, action sports, flipping dirt bikes, you know, the fun stuff in the yard, that, you know, stuff people can relate to. And I feel like that journey has been something people have followed, you know, getting back to the point of 90s, you know, generation. And I have people that have followed me. Now their kids are following my kids. It has been a generational thing. And now I think that's why the fan bases have gotten so big, you know? Yeah.
It's it's a delicate balance too, because people want all the information. They want all the behind the scenes. They love YouTube. They love seeing the racing, but they want it all. Yeah. They want to know everything. That gets tough sometimes, huh?
Yeah, it does. And I think you have to be able to draw a line, you know, and it's hard because social media will bait you and favor you to do things that sometimes you don't want to do. And the way I explain that is, you know, like, for example, my kids, like, oh, they'll start posting something, it gets a lot of views, but it's not morally the right thing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, like you got to be able to draw a line. But the problem is they are good at what they do on social, these companies. So they can bait you into like, oh, views. So girls are the best example of that. Like, oh, show a little this, show that, getting better views. And so at some point, you gotta say, okay, where's my line I'm drawing? Where's my morals? And I think that's a tough thing with social media because it's a slippery slope that you got to stay in control of it. And anyway,
you get rewarded for this type of behavior and this type of content. Yeah. And you like seeing those insights, the likes, the comments. You're like, and it's even if you're not intentionally thinking about it, you're just naturally drawn to like, oh, they like this because I remember this blew up. We'll do more of it.
Yeah. And you gotta catch yourself. And fortunately, I've been able to have good partners and have lifelong sponsorships and good deals that I've had since I've ridden dirt bikes. X Games. I was there when Monster was Hanson's Energy, back in the day, and then it turned into basically created Monster. So anyway, I've been there from the beginning with a lot of these guys. So I've had these relationships that have carried on and that has been a good foundation for me with all my sports stuff. And it's carried on through my kids. So social's awesome, but it's kind of the icing on the cake, I guess,
So what's the cake? Then the performance?
I would say, winning races, right? Like, and that's always has the value. That's the credibility. Yeah. Like I tell my kids, like you can go out and be the best way I could explain it. Like with my daughter, I said, okay, what is your value in I'd say in your career right now? She said, well, I'm a girl who races cars. And I said, that's okay. I go, that's a great start. Value, right? So that's rare. Yeah. I go with rarity comes value. And I said, so, all right, so you're a girl who races NASCAR. I go, all right, now I know you're going down this path of social media and love the YouTube and all the other stuff. It's quick, easy money. I go, but how many pretty girls do you do? Mm-hmm. I go, all of a sudden now you're one of a million, right? So I go, well, you kind of got to decide which one you want to go down. And for me, that's my going back to racing. Like it's rare for guys to be champions or girls to be champions in racing because it's hard. Yeah. And you look at people who do hard things, they carry credibility for life, I feel. In social media, you have these YouTube sensations, people that do big things on the internet and they come and go. Yeah. I don't know, very rare to see ones like, for example, let's just say the Paul brothers or whatever. They started off on social YouTube. What did they have to do to really get the credibility? Yeah, they had to compete. Start fighting, right? Start competing and becoming these athletes. And anyway, that's just my opinion on it. So, I see that, because my son's pretty heavy on social media too, one of them. And there's a lot of influencer, people who are in shape. You can look good for, a few photos, do things. And what I told him too is he stands out because he also gets on the starting line of races and competes and has good times. And it's or sets a world record in something. There's a lot of guys who can look good in a video for 30 seconds and do this whole thing and probably get some views, but how long is that going to last? Because that's a million guys out there are in shape. Yeah. But the fact that he can line up and compete, put himself out there and say, no, I'm doing this race and here's going to be my time. People don't like that part of it because that can expose. If you don't have real talent, you're exposed. Yeah. And then that's where you say, well, it's not going to last. It doesn't last. Yeah. No. Yeah. There's a formula there, I think. And there's always a respect for things that are hard, which, I mean, you can't get around it. People can talk shit, but at the end of the day, it's just what are they really going to say? Yeah. If you're doing hard stuff. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to put down the guy who's doing things that you're not willing to do. Right. That's I've seen so many great clips. I love your clips, when you get fired up. Or I shared that one I remember I think it was from Gypsy Tales, a podcast. And you were going on about, it reminded me of the Must Be Nice thing. And it's something about maybe your dad was just a pussy or something, talking about these kids that didn't get the opportunities because their dad didn't
didn't lay it out there on the line when they could have.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that was every so often I guess I go on rants, but and yeah, sometimes they are good, sometimes not. They're a little ruthless, but I feel like I remember saying, because we were getting some heat, or Haiden was getting heat, my son, when he first came into motocross, supercross. Oh yeah, you're just good because your dad gave you everything, right? And I get it. I get that part for sure. I was a young kid, basically I had to have a paper route to get my first dirt bike, and I had to work for everything I had. And my dad did, support me with what he could. He was a teacher, so like he wasn't come from a rich household. But he, and like I said, my parents separated when I was probably 10 or 11. So my dad would take me to the races on the weekends. That was it. And he learned how to work on the dirt bike. And it was an effort for sure. I totally appreciate it. But we were nowhere near the guys at the races with the nice coach, the nice motorhome, all the bikes.
Right.
We were in the pickup truck with, old junky truck with a trailer and one bike, right? And which was fine. It built my character, and it made me, appreciate things, work hard, and I was able to take that work ethic, move to the West Coast, chase my dreams, and build this empire through action sports of winning medals and taking big risks, right? I 360s on dirt bikes, backflips, before there was foam pits, all this stuff. We took big risks, and with that came it was big views on TV. There wasn't really much internet at the time. But X Games came around every, twice a year, whatever, and we would take over that whole ESPN deal, and it blew up. But man, it was huge risks. A lot of hospital stays, a lot of broken bones, a lot of near death experiences, and I paved the way to have that life, and so I was able to hand it down for my kids, and give them the things that I wish I had when I was younger.
Right.
Is that a bad thing? I guess, yeah, it can be, and then there's also the times where okay, well, how do you teach a kid to appreciate those things? That's a battle. It is a battle. I get it. But I, somehow was able to go, okay, here's our foundation. Our foundation is faith, family. And like I always say, faith, family, freedom. That's kind of describes our family, right?
Yeah.
And so we have done that since the time the kids, growing up, school, everything was about this foundation, and I feel like that stuck with them, and they learned how to compete, how to work hard, and how to not want to ever lose, not give up, and so that carried through. And getting back to the point where people are like, "Oh, Hayden's had everything, that's why he's winning." I'm like, okay, yeah, I get that, and I go, so what are you mad at me? Yeah. You mad at me because I took risk and broke bones to have this and give it to my kids? And
could have died multiple times,
right? Yeah, and I almost did, and almost did die at one instance, so just to the point, and that's why I went on that rant of, hey, don't get mad at me because your dad was a pussy and didn't take risk like I did.
Yeah.
And I know it's a harsh way to put it, but that's the reality of the life I lived. I was like, hey, I took risks almost, and I was able to give that to my kids, and my kids took advantage of it. And that's the most respect they could show me. Say, hey, we're going to take what you gave us and multiply it and succeed. Cool. So that formula has been great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, there's that point touching on that where, when I lost my kidney, did a backflip at Viva La Bam in the wind, came up short, handlebar went in my stomach, I blew up my kidney, my spleen, and there's no ambulance on the scene. I mean, a lot of people know this story in my industry, but anyway, I go to the hospital, almost dying, bleeding out. And about almost an hour until I got into surgery, and I had no pulse was real light, and the doctors were asking rush emergency surgery. Got to the hospital, and anything you want to tell your family, we don't know what's going on inside. They basically cut you all the way open, pull all your one organ out at a time. There's a procedure it's called where they start looking inside. Yeah, and so they end up intestines, and they get to my kidney, and it's shattered, blown off the artery. So they end up taking the kidney out, sewing up the artery. So imagine having your artery severed for 45 minutes, So my stomach was huge, just full of blood. And so, I remember going to sleep like right before into surgery, I was like, I remember that was my moment where I was like, please God, let me live. You know, up to that point, I was a pretty rebel dude, you know, and I was like, you know, in and out of church and, you know, just kind of like still hanging on to that, you know, the party lifestyle and stuff. And I just remember at that point, I already had my daughter, Hailie. And I just remember I was praying like, please God, let me live through this. Because I just was thinking, man, I have my daughter and my wife, and I'm like, I'm gonna die. And I was like, this is like the doctor's pretty much saying like, hey, we don't know what's going on. We're gonna look. We're gonna do it. And he's like, we're gonna do everything we can. And I just remember I remember I was chewing my lip and tongue, like trying to stay awake. And I was like, oh man, this is crazy. Like this is like real, you know. And so I just remember praying, and then I just like, please God, let me live. And I remember waking up and doing tubes everywhere. And I was just like, yes, I'm alive. And it was like a heavy moment. I was like, woke up and my wife was in the room, my dad was in the room, and I was on the East Coast. They were on the West Coast when I went into surgery. That's how long I was under, like in surgery. So I wake up and I'm just like, oh, thank God I'm alive. And so they were in the hospital for a few weeks, like recovery deal, like it was pretty bad. And so I'm like, you know, skinny, pale, just barely hanging on and like recovering. And my wife got super sick in the hospital, and I was like, man, what's going on? And she ended up taking a pregnancy test, and she was pregnant with Haiden. And I was like, dude, this is crazy, you know? And just
on the verge of death. Yeah. And instead, here's new life.
New life right there. And so we found out she was pregnant with Haiden in the hospital. Wow. And I was like, man, it was a lot to take in, you know. I was like, what if, you know, all these forks in the road, you know, all these second chances. And I was like, man, okay. I made my pact, and I did, you know, I said, I'm changing my life. And that was it. And from that point on, I went down the path of like, okay, we're going to fight off all the bad, you know, things I had going on and try to go down the right path. And it was a tough road for sure. I mean, it's easier said than done.
Oh, yeah.
To kind of weed out the good and the bad and get on track. And it took a while, but my focus changed to family at that point, and that was it. And yeah, you know, I definitely had my ups and downs and, you know, teeter-totters, and I was definitely not perfect. So, you know, but it was, you know, a focus on family and a blessing for, you know, to have my son, like be there for my son being born and all that. So yeah, it was, and I always think back to that. It's easy to get caught up in life and just be, oh yeah, life's good. And you think about the forks in the road. I always say that there's forks in the road. Yeah. You know, and there's think of how many times you made a decision that could have been the end. The wrong one. The wrong one. Yeah.
Did you, when you were laying there, you know, biting your lip and your tongue, trying to stay awake, did you have regrets? Did you regret?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just remember laying there going, man, I can't believe because I didn't think like I was probably, you know, how old was I? I was probably like late 20s, maybe 30 maybe at that point. But I was like, man, I can't believe I'm going to die. Like this, like went so fast. Like I'm like, this is so quick, you know? And I remember going, man, I didn't really have a chance to really live the life past freestyle motocross, right?
Yeah,
I'm like, this is it. I was like, damn, yeah, well, we had a good run, but not really what life's about, right?
Yeah,
and so, yeah, no, I did. Can I say, like, I always think that, like, one thought that I have a lot, and because I've done a lot of soul searching the last so many years, and I was like, man, what if you got a choice? If you said, okay, you get a choice to go back to like say 10 years old or whatever, if someone gave you a shot right now to go back to 10 years old and you could start over, would you do it? And I'm like, would you do it? Like, it's pretty crazy thought. Like, would you make the decisions you made? Would you end up with the person you ended up with? Would you, like, all this stuff? Like, and I think about it and it's crazy because I'm like, life,
nuts.
You like think it just happened for a reason, all of it?
Yeah, no.
No way. I'm like,
it's a plan.
And I feel like, I can't say I regret. I mean, yes, I regret some dumb things I did, but like overall, like I can't say I would change much, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I just feel like it was all learning lessons for me and it kind of forms you to who you are, you know?
Now I could see why you'd say, no, you wouldn't if you would have died. And now would be 20 years after you died and you'd see your family, you'd probably be like, yeah, I probably would change a few, you know what I mean?
Oh, Yes.
If you could see that 20 years without of your kids not having a dad.
Oh, geez.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I totally get it.
Yeah.
I remember watching that film when you got hurt. And did you, like, I know it was windy, and when you crashed, did you like, why did I try that?
Yeah, because that day it was, we're filming Viva La Bam. Guar was playing this heavy metal band. Bam was skating underneath the ramp.
Looked like a big party.
Big party.
Yeah.
Kind of a fun, like one of those typical like Jackass style shows. And I had a freestyle ramp over the skate ramp. And it was really, really windy that day, like crazy, like 40-mile-per-hour crosswinds. And I was riding with a couple buddies, and they're like, dude, we ain't hitting that. Like, and I was like, dude, well, they're all expecting us to do this. Right. And they wanted me to backflip at the end of the show over Bam. And I remember telling the producer, I'm like, man, I don't know, dude. It's like super windy and it's sketchy. He's like, oh, I thought you guys, this is what you guys are here for. I thought you guys were the man, right? And I kind of threw that on me. And of course, young Steve, I'm like, all right, dude, well, get ready. Turn the cameras on. And I hit it and it just like under rotated. And then I'm like, shit. And I come in short, and I'm like, it wasn't even really that bad of a crash, but I endoed into the top of the jump. If I would have gone a little further, I would have made it to the landing. Under rotated, hit the top of the jump. The front wheel digs into the top of the jump. Handlebars go into my stomach, under my chest plate, and it was like a perfect impact under my rib cage with the curvature of the handlebars, and then it just exploded my kidney. Fell to the ground, and it felt like I just got shot with a gun in the stomach. Super like fire in my stomach, and I've never had that pain before. I've had bone pain like that, but not stomach and organs. So I knew it was, I was like, dude, this is bad. And so I'm laying there going, okay, maybe I just knocked the wind out of myself. And I was trying to catch my breath, and it just started it kept getting worse and worse. And I was like, oh, dude, this is bad. I was like, I need an ambulance. And they're like, there's no ambulance on site, which I obviously should have thought of that before, but you're just young, you don't think about it. No ambulance. So they call an ambulance, and literally I'm laying there, my stomach's growing and my skin's turning yellow, you know? And I'm like, oh, dude. And I was like crazy looking at my buddy, Ronnie Feist, and I was like, dude, I think I'm going to die, dude. I go, look at my arms and skin, you know? We're pretty tough, you know? We're like, we kind of tough out, like look at broken, like we'd be looking at our broken arm. Oh, I broke my arm. You know, and then I was like, this is not good. I'm like, dude, this is bad. And I'm like, I need to go to the hospital quick. And so a fire truck came in, like those ambulance-looking fire trucks, and that's like, was it. And so that pulls in. I'm like, put me in the fire. Dude, let's go to the ambulance. So they put me in the fire truck, a little ambulance-looking thing, and pinned it to the hospital. And that was like, I'll never forget that ride to the hospital. It was just like, oh, dude, just like I said, chewing my lip and tongue, like, because I kept falling asleep, you know? And the doctors later told me, like it was like a 0.0 something chance of survival once you fall asleep from bleeding out like that, you know? And I was like, dude, it was so close, but I just knew in my mind, like, don't fall asleep, dude. Like, I know where this is headed, you know? I kind of just, like, I know this is bad, and man, it was a bad experience. And anyhow, my point is, it was turned out to be a blessing in the end, but I had to kind of go through, unfortunately, you know, big slap in the face there. So,
that's rough. Here's what can trick you into using too much ChatGPT. I said, what can I say for Brian Deegan's podcast episode? Geez. And they are freaking good.
Really?
It's not good if you get lazy, but I did want to read this because I thought, hey, ChatGPT did good on this one. So the episode title they suggested was Brian Deegan, Risk, Rebellion, and the Rise of an Outlier.
Yeah.
Pretty good right there, isn't it? So description, he's a motocross pioneer, entrepreneur, father. Hold on a sec. What? Okay. Father and straight up renegade. In this episode of Outliers, so they screwed up my podcast name, but I said it's about outliers. Brian Deegan opens up about the mindset that fueled his rise, the pain that shaped him, and what it means to lead a life on your own terms. From founding Metal Mulisha to mentoring his next-gen racing kids, Deegan proves that outliers aren't born, they're built in the fire. pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah. That's good.
One thing that I was curious about. My wife has seen what I do, like with endurance racing and doing all this, and now my son's doing it, and she doesn't want him to do it because it's just like it's never ending, as you said. It's just this. It's never over.
Yeah.
You got to keep if you want to do like. I mean, I'm always like I got to keep producing. I got to line up. I got to do shit. I got to prove I am who I say I am. So she's seen this now for 30 years. Yeah. She's like, I don't want Truett to have to do that. And I'm like, well, so what do you think about that?
Yeah, I feel like having that's it. Honestly, that's a tough one, but because I feel like the last 5 to 10 years of my life, I've been trying to put myself in the other side's shoes. You know, where as a man, I've done so many years of like, well, this is how I feel, you know, and now, you know, being married for so long and being through so many different chapters and of life with a partner that I'm like, okay, well, how does she feel? You know, like wonder what she's thinking right now, you know, and I try to do that a little more, like give a little more like grace and patience and like think about it and like, okay, I wonder, because it's very easy for me to go, well, this is the way it is, you know, like, and I'm like, so my point is, as a mom, like I have always gone down the path of like every kid has to be a champion, you know, like you know, in the story, you know, like whatever it takes. And then I'm like, man,
if you're not a champion, you're a loser. I mean, that's the kind of shit I say. I told my kids, it's like, if you're average, you're a loser.
You're a loser.
And then I'm just like, why would I have said that? Yeah. Because I mean, anyway.
It's pretty funny. But that's pretty much what every man wants to say, I guess. But the point is with the kids, now, for example, Hailie, I was like, okay, she was got into karting, you know, into car racing, chasing. I'm like, okay, girl racing, we're going NASCAR, top of the thing, let's go. And so we figure it out, we chase the dream, get her to NASCAR. And then next thing you know, she's like, okay, I got to live in Charlotte and go race NASCAR. And I'm like, whoa, okay, that's crazy. Our daughter just is gone now. Like, and I'm like, would it have been better of her just to have a normal life and work the 9 to 5 and be able to see her every day and be a part of our family and have the normal family life? And so I have those thoughts, you know, and I'm like, okay, will what we're chasing pull us apart, you know, and not in a bad way, but just in a way of days gone, you know? And so now I look back at it, I'm like, okay. And I you know, with Haiden, he had a talent for dirt bikes, chased it, said, okay, bro, if you're in, I'm in. Let's do it. Let's freaking do it. And if you want to win, I'll help you and we'll do it as good as you can be. We're going to do that, you know? And so, and that system has worked. And then with my youngest Hudson, he was more free spirit, funny, talkative, like, you know, more like want to have fun all the time and a different personality. And I was like, all right, cool. And then he wanted to race dirt bikes, wanted to do this, wanted to do that, kind of in and out of everything. And so I'm like, the one thing I know is dirt bikes. So I'm like, okay, dirt bikes, let's do this. And so we go down the path and he ends up having a bad crash, like a bad one. And at a day practicing, you know, it lands on his head and it shatters his thoracic spine, his upper spine, like 4 vertebrae, you know? And usually he was the kid crashes, I'm hurt. I'm like, get up, you're fine, let's go, you know? And this day he was like, dude, my back. And I'm like, oh, and I was right behind him when he fell. It wasn't a big crash, but he landed on his head. And I'm like, dude, you all right? You're all right? All right, let's go. Let's get up. And he's like, no. And I was like, all right. So we, you know, did medics, the whole thing, went to the hospital, and they went in there and they're like, his spine's crooked. They're like, and now it's a hematoma is pushing on his spinal cord. And I was like, no fucking way. And I was like, and then you start thinking, what
How old was he at this time?
He was 12, I think. Okay. And so I'm like, what the frick am I doing? You know, like, this is so stupid. Like, why am I pushing this freaking deal? You know? And then at that point, I kind of was like, you know what? Back off. You know, we got him through that. I mean, they wanted to put pins in his back and do this whole thing. And so I, you know, went to the doctors, you know, sports doctors, and they ended up putting him in a brace. And they said, if this brace holds and does what it's supposed to do, then we won't do surgery. So we held off. And then, you know, my sports surgeon saw it after 3 months of the shell, the turtle shell. And they said, took it off, said, okay, it looks good. You know, he's going to grow, he'll develop, and this should be fine.
Okay.
You know, it's not perfect, but you know, it's no surgery. And I was like, okay, that's all I wanted to hear, because pins in a kid's back's never a good story, right? No. And so that was kind of the moment I stepped back and go, man, what am I doing, dude? Like, I'm like, if you're half in, half out, I'm all, dude, it's too gnarly of a sport, you know, to be half in, half out. And let's go ride. If you want to ride for fun, let's go ride fun. Let's go cruise around on a dirt bike, right? But as far as pushing you to train and ride and do, and then let's go. And so anyway, that was a reality shock reality for me, that I was like, whoa, this was close. And so we said, okay, what's next? What do you want to do? And he's like, I just want to, I like, he said, I like golf. I like, it was fishing. He likes cooking, just things that are like, oh, cool. Let's do it. I'm like, okay, I'm supportive of it. Let's do it. And I'm like, how can I only be supportive of things I like?
Yeah. I know.
So that's the hard part, because it's fun. It's what we know. And anyhow, that's my polar opposite story of I don't know if I probably didn't answer your question, but that's kind of what I've been through. And I feel like after my third kid, I was kind of like, you know what do you want to do? Dude? Yeah. What do you want? Let's do it. And if we're going to do it, let's do it. Right.
I think that's, I mean, I totally get that. I mean,
that's a tough one.
I was always like, I expected him to do good in school, but I was always like, the measurable is physical.
Yeah.
That's all that mattered.
Yeah.
Train, do this, do that. It's always sports. Yeah. It's just physical. And then I was just like, never mention school. So I'm like, finally with my daughter, kind of like you, she was my last one. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I need to chill out. Yeah. And it's a girl too, so it's a little bit different than the boys, because I just push the boys so hard. But you just kind of, I had that realization too when my son joined the Army, he got deployed, and I'm like, he had a good job, and I told him for so long that average was a failure, and now he's like, okay, well, I got more to offer this world. I'm gonna be a Ranger in the Army, and then he gets deployed, and I'm like, what if something happens to him? Yeah, it was me who said that he had it. We need regular people doing regular jobs, and it's like did I make him do this, and what if something happens to him? And so now, I mean, I totally get what you're saying about your daughter, because like Truett lives in Utah and he trains every day and he has these big goals. Tanner, who was a Ranger, he lives right over here, not even like a couple blocks away.
That's cool.
We see him all the time.
Yeah.
Never see Truett. So it's like, it's like what you're saying with your daughter, would have been better to have a regular job and just see him.
See him all the time. Yeah.
But then when you see like your kids, or like, my kids, if they're inspiring this next generation and kids look up to them, and it gives other kids this opportunity to dream big and chase it, and that somehow helps society.
Yeah, for sure.
Then that's good too.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's good to have the kids thriving and yes, be in a position where they have good influence. I feel. Yeah, I feel like my kids, like, that is one thing I do tell them. I'm like, it's one of the reasons why we've continued to do our YouTube for so long. It's a grind of like, hey, it's an influence, man. We're influencing people to hopefully follow what we stand for, which we believe is the right thing. I know there's a lot of crap on the internet, and I feel like there's a lot of parents that come to me and just like, hey, dude, thanks for putting out like good PG content, dude, that we can watch. I'm not worried about my kids watching it. We don't think, we know nothing weird's gonna happen on it, and we dig that. I said, cool. So I feel like there is like you're saying, there is a value when your kids have a good influence on the next generation. Yeah, there's a big deal to that. I don't think people put enough credit on that. And I think especially in this day and age, we can all cry about like what the media does, what get posted, what people are, pushing on Google or the Apple or whatever, it's like, well, what are you doing? What's your part? what are you doing to combat it? You know, it's like when you're complaining about it, like
put something out positive, what you want to see then.
Just put out something that people might influence people to go, yeah, I like that. You know, like I feel like that's still, there's still, the majority of America is good people that want to do good things, you know. So they need some freaking role models, right?
I think so. You know, and like I know you get a lot of parenting type questions because you've run the gamut. You've been the crazy young wild guy, and now you're the dad and trying to raise good kids. And it's like I was having this conversation with my daughter too, because as I was saying, like with Truett training like this, and is he missing that? And I told her, I said, everybody pays a price. What price do you want to pay? Is a price that you could have changed the world with your ability, but you didn't? Or is the price that, and then you missed out on family time? Or is the price that you stayed with your family and then you didn't do this thing? Or usually it's untapped potential. People could have been amazing, but they, for whatever reason, didn't believe in themselves or didn't have whatever, so they didn't chase it. And who knows what it could have turned into. But I said, you're going to pay a price no matter what.
Yeah.
What is it? What is that price going to be?
Yeah.
But nobody gets out with nothing without paying something.
Yeah.
And it's just hard knowing what's the right decision sometimes.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like I said, life's hard no matter what, you know, so I want it to be hard. I always say, because people, resort life back to like, your value or whatever. It's, I say life's hard no matter what, dude. And you want to have a good life or a tough life, as far as like, it's all hard. Yeah. It's hard to be rich. It's hard to be poor. It's hard to, so I choose to want to have a good life and work hard and be able to provide for my kids and give them the opportunities that I wish I had. And it's all hard, dude,
Mudwater is a Healthy Habits brand best known for its popular caffeine alternative. It's got 4 functional mushrooms, and the purpose is to never leave you feeling jittery. Don't get me wrong, I love coffee and usually drink 5 to 6 cups a day, but Mudwater has helped me cut back a little bit, especially once afternoon hits. I still even throw a little Mudwater in with my coffee, and they have a really good coffee creamer with MCT oil. Each ingredient was added for a purpose. Cacao and chai for a hint of caffeine and hot chocolate-like flavor. Lion's mane for focus, and both chaga and reishi to support healthy immune system. Plus, it's Whole30 approved, 100% USDA certified organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, vegan, and kosher. Mudwater donates monthly to support psychedelic research and has since day one. They believe the country is in a mental health epidemic and that psychedelic-assisted therapy is one of the most effective tools we have to treat mental health conditions. Mudwater is hooking up my show with a special offer. If you go to mudwater.com/Cam Haines, you get a free frother and $20 off. That's mudwater.com/Cam Haines for a free frother and $20 off. Ketone IQ is now backed by research from KU Leuven and Team Visma. Ketone IQ is showing powerful results in helping your body bounce back quicker and push harder, especially in tough, low oxygen conditions. Here's what the science says. Number 1, ketones support EPO production. Yes, you heard that right. EPO. That's a hormone that boosts red blood cell count and helps deliver more oxygen to your muscles. 2, they improve blood flow and vasodilation, getting oxygen and nutrients where you need them faster. 3, and also they enhance brain oxygenation for better endurance, sharper focus, and quicker recovery. For better endurance, sharper focus, and quicker recovery. Whether you're an endurance athlete, a weekend warrior, or just someone who trains with purpose, Ketone IQ is the edge your body's been waiting for. Ready to unlock next level performance? Go to ketone.com/Cam for 10% off and 30% off your first purchase.
I also had to take risk when I was younger, leaving Nebraska. I was going to go to college in Nebraska when I graduated high school. My dad ended up being the superintendent of the school system in Nebraska, so education was a big deal to him.
What were you going to take?
It was like marketing and business stuff. Yeah. probably end up in some sales deal or something. I don't know. I just pictured myself like I grew up in Bellevue, Nebraska, a very small town. I'd always kind of ride my bike downtown. And there's these local bars where people would just end up at, you know, and I'm just like, man, I don't want to do that. I just want to end up the guy at the bar hanging out, you know, going back and
telling high school stories.
Telling high school stories, dude. I couldn't see myself doing that. Fortunately for me, dirt bikes was my avenue out. That showed me like, hey, I traveled to the United States that way. Got to meet all these kids from California, from Florida. I'm like, man, these kids are cool. Like I just want to be where they're at. Like what they're doing, man. I go that I was always attracted to that growing up. There was a little skate shop in town. And I always would go hang out there and kind of look at the new stuff. And I remember it was like, you know, it was Tony Hawk and Pal Peralta, all that era. And I was big into skateboards and all that stuff. And I just felt like I just didn't belong in Nebraska. Nebraska was Cornhusker football, you know? And I was like, that was just not my thing, you know, which is fine. Anyway, my dirt bike was my avenue out. I took risks. It was scary, you know, leaving home at 18 with no money, you know, and a old pickup truck on my dirt bike and driving to California. And I mean, it was scary for sure.
Who talked you into that?
It was, I had a friend in California that was like, hey, come stay with me. And it all started when I was about 14. I was racing. I started winning locally, and I knew it snowed in the winters, obviously, in Nebraska. So I knew to be a champion, I had to train year round. So I had kids from California that I met at the local nationals, or at the nationals at Loretta Lynn's and the big amateur nationals. Hey, come stay with us. And I said, okay. So I hitched a ride with this guy, Jeff Imming. He was a champion back in the day. When he was younger, he was 16, and back when the mini trucks were cool, lowered mini trucks. He came and picked me up and threw my dirt bike in the back. I was like 14, 15, and he literally drove me to California. I remember it was when Guns N' Roses came out, Appetite for Destruction. We listened to that tape the whole way. And he dropped me off at the exit where my friend lived, and it was a Glen Helen motocross track exit, I'll never forget, with my bag and my dirt bike. And I know cell phones. And my buddy's dad came and picked me up, and he brought me to their house, and I was like, all right, go to high school. And I went to transfer because I had to go to school still. So I went to my first day of Cajon High, which is the gnarliest gang school in California, like Riverside High. I remember this little white kid coming in from Nebraska the first day of school. It was mid-school year. And I come in, I'm like, bro, this is gnarly. And I was sitting there, and then all of a sudden these gang fights break out, dude. God. It was like, and I was like, this is 14, crazy.
Or how old?
Yeah, it's probably 14, 15. I think 9th or 10th grade or something. And anyhow, I remember I was tripping out. I was like, dude, this is crazy. But it's such an experience. Imagine a kid, you know, I was growing up fast. Basically. Whole different world. And so, we would ride after school, we'd go ride up in the hills. And I just thought it was the coolest thing. Cause I'm like, at home, it's winter. I couldn't ride at all. So I was like working on my dirt bike. I was so happy to be there.
Yeah.
I would just remember I was just like, couldn't believe I was there.
And your dad was good with you just moving to California?
Which is crazy. I would never let my kid do that, bro.
14 or 15?
Later.
See you, Dad.
See ya. No cell phone.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
Then how did you get money for gas, even for riding your bike?
So I had a credit card with and it had $500 or $1,000 on it. And my dad was like, okay, you have to make money. So I always had to have little jobs. And out in California, I actually was good enough to win Kawasaki contingency money when I raced the local Trans-Cal series or whatever. And it was like $300 or $400 a weekend. And it was enough to live off.
Fund you.
Yeah. But I was super low budget, dude. So
low overhead.
Low budget. But just enough to buy food.
Yeah.
You know? And my buddies were cool. Their parents were cool to let me stay there.
But that's amazing that at that age you were providing for yourself, essentially.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if my bike broke, I had to figure it out. It wasn't someone wasn't fixing it for me. I had to go to the local shop and buy a part, put it on. But I didn't care. I was I was so stoked just to be there. Yeah.
But how do you, that's always the challenge with a parent who had to grind it out and then the kids don't have to, making them tough. Making them, because that gave you an edge.
Yeah.
Your edge is why you had the balls to do these fucking big tricks and make this name for yourself. Without that edge, you'd be a marketing guy.
Average guy. Average guy.
Average loser.
Yeah,
No,
average loser. So I know. I feel like that, and there's something was in me too. Like I just had a wild side in me that I was willing to take big risks to not just make money, but get attention. I was that kid that wanted to get attention. You know, I'm like, I'll backflip this dirt bike and, this will be cool, right?
Yeah.
Anyhow, I surrounded myself with guys like that oh man, it became, I raced Supercross and motocross and I never got a factory ride. I was like a 5th to 10th place guy, where nowadays that is a factory ride, but back then there was only one factory ride per team. It was very tough. And so anyhow, I just missed that mark. And so, I ended up winning a Supercross, but I kind of went, F you to the sport and couldn't get the ride, so I went rebel kid and I ghost rode my bike over won the Supercross, ghost rode my bike over the finish. It was kind of like a big F you deal, and it was almost like, I don't know. Like I look back at it, it was pretty rebel, and I mean, no one's done anything like that to this day,
Yeah.
So, but either way, that was kind of like me at my exit of the sport. Action sports was starting, and I fortunately place the right time. And I went full steam ahead. I said, okay, it's my shot. I'm going to action sports. I'm taking over. We're the rebel guys and spikes and heavy metal. And Travis Pastrana was the good guy. We were the bad guys. And let's go. And it just took off. It was ESPN ate it up, and it was badass.
Yeah, I related a little bit to kind of, I don't know if it's the same or not, but like with archery, there's target archery, and it's very like, did you win this tournament? How did you shoot? First, second, third. It's very like, you don't even have to know anything to know who's good.
Yeah.
And then there's bow hunting. And then it's all, to me, it reminds me of like the factory ride and then the freestyle.
Free ride, yeah.
It's just like, you can't, how do you gauge whether you're good at freestyle? There is no real measurable, but so that was kind of a risk, wasn't it?
Yeah, big risk. It was like kind of...
It's safer to be just a factory guy, just do races, and if you win, you make a name for yourself.
Yeah. But and if you don't win, say you run 5th through 10th, you're still making enough money to be the cool guy with the dirt bike in town and go, go to the track, and that's a whole nother story I won't get into. But
what's that?
As far as like you have a passion, you love riding dirt bikes, you're not making enough money to retire on it, but you stay in it because you love it and you don't really have anything else to do. You're like, I'm not qualified to do much other, so I'm going to continue to ride this dirt bike at 5th to 10th place or 20th place and continue to just make enough just to get by. And then when I'm 30, I don't know what I'm going to do, right? And I didn't want to do that. I was kind of like, I knew I wasn't going to factory ride. I wanted to be the man. I wanted to make money. I wanted to be successful. And that's when I said, I'm walking away from racing, which was a big move for me because my dad put a lot of time into that, and I felt bad. Like my dad was like, "You're not going to race anymore." And
it was right after you won the Supercross.
I won the Supercross, and then I did like another season. But I felt like I should have got a factory ride that year. I was good enough to get a ride, and I didn't get it the next year. And I just was kind of like that. I'm not getting a ride. Like,
why do you think you didn't get it?
Just 100% was my attitude. I just was like,
but you had a chip on your shoulder. I'm sure you said, no, they're fucking me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You didn't say, oh, it's me for being, I'm kind of too crazy.
I wasn't
for
that
this.
smart.
No,
I had to learn my lesson.
I just know how young men are, and that's just how it works.
Yeah.
It's never your fault.
Yes. And I know, and I lived that life for a long time. And if I wanted to get a factory ride, I should have played the game. I should have played the corporate game. I should have went to the guys that mattered, that called the shots. Hey, what's up, buddy? I'm Brian Deegan. Nice to meet you. I'm working hard. Can you give me a shot? Instead, I was like, F you guys, right? Like, you guys, I'm winning. You should, like, I've won. Like, why are you not giving me a ride?
Yeah.
And that was not the right attitude. I don't care what. I mean, you got to be a bad motherfucker to play that game. You gotta be. You
can't just be like barely
hanging on.
I should have got this, or maybe not, because they're gonna say no.
No, I want the guy who's gonna listen and be cool and respectful.
But do you know who JB Mooney is, the bull rider?
Yeah.
So he says something like, there's bull riders who just want to be known as a bull rider, and then there's guys who want to be the best.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of like those guys. There's some guys who just like, it's just good enough. Just being the motocross guy, showing up to races, having the bike. But they're going to be like not really make the podium, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, I mean, there are people who they're okay with that, I guess.
Yeah. And there's still, you still get the benefits from that. There's still like you're still, like I say, you're still on that on the side of the fence where the action is.
Yeah.
Not the fan side of the fence. You're on the other side of the fence, right? So
you're out there.
You're still in the scene and you still get the little benefits of that. But I never wanted to do that. I always wanted to make the most of it and be like, okay, like how do we, if it's TV, I want to be the most there. If it's, action sports, I want to be the most there. And unfortunately, action sports, to be the man, you got to take big risks, and that was the game. And so we did. Travis was badass. Pastrana just was on another level, And so he helped the sport a ton, and he helped car racing get into X Games, which helped me transition out of freestyle motocross because there came a point when he did that double backflip that night. And I was standing there watching, and I was like, I was in that event against him, and I was like, there's no way I'm doing that. I was just like, bro. And I told him, I was like, damn. I remember talking to him back in the locker room. I'm like, you're going to do a double backflip, dude? I go, that's freaking gnarly, dude. And he's like, yeah, I think I'm good. I think I got it. And I go, you think you got it? I'm like, he knew he had it. Like, he was just that gnarly, And he was like 10 years younger than me,
Oh,
so,
was he?
So anyway, it was kind of that moment where I was probably in 30s, young 30s, when I was like, you know what, I've survived it this long, and car racing was coming, and I had some other opportunities, and I just parlayed out of it, And fortunately, I was able to carry my sponsors out of that into car racing, and which is a whole nother story, but that was another difficult move, but I had to go work my ass off, figure out how to win. Never raced a car in my life, figured out within a year I was winning championships. But that was hard work and studying and studying the sport. I love that part. I love studying things and figuring it out. I love figuring out how to freaking win things that I haven't done before. And Travis was the king of that. Man, that dude won at so many things. And he walked away from racing as a young kid, which was unheard of. Like if you've got a factory ride and you're winning championships, that's all you do.
Yeah.
Like if you were like, hey, no, I'm good, I'm gonna go do freestyle over here, people are like, what? That'd be like Hayden going, hey, later, I'm gonna go hit ramps. People are like,
right.
Huh?
Yeah.
So he's a rebel dude. So anyway, he paved the way.
But he wasn't known necessarily as a rebel like you were.
No, he was more goody two shoe guy, like clean cut, but he was like, as far as like going against the grain and paving the way, he was a trailblazing dude,
Did his persona, being the goody two shoe guy, did that push you to be like the bad guy even more?
Yeah,
be like even crazier.
Yeah, I'd say we were polar opposites as far as like our personalities and our images, at least.
Yeah.
When we got on dirt bikes, we were pretty much we're the same wavelength, right? Like we thought, we're both competitors there. But yeah, he was the goody guy, and I we were like, okay, we were turned up the bad boy thing times 10,
right?
So it was totally opposites, And then eventually he got older and he got into his wild times and this, that, and it was like, yeah, cool, whatever, dude. Everyone goes through those moments, and it's all good.
Wasn't there like a dirt Demons or what?
Yeah, Crusty Demons of Dirt.
Yeah. What was that?
That was the original freestyle motocross movies. That's what helped start the action sport movement of freestyle motocross. So they were big into snowboarding. So snowboarding had its competition guys, and then the free ride guys that went out and just the free ride in the mountains and the powder, and they do videos. And these dudes were wild dudes. So they showed their partying along with their snowboarding in the backcountry, and then they do skits, these funny ass skits, and we never even heard of that, right? And they were doing these doing these acting parts, and I was like, nowadays the skits, and the internet are like, if it ain't real, it's cheesy, right? But back then it was freaking funny. We're like, dude, these guys were reenacting like 007 and doing these skits, and we just thought it was the coolest thing. So anyway, those guys who edited the snowboarding thing came into freestyle motocross when it first started, and they took that formula of storytelling of behind the scenes into freestyle motocross. it helped like the sport. I mean, it was probably the biggest movement for freestyle motocross.
It was the same guys that did the snowboard stuff?
Same guys. John and Dana from Flesh Wound Films, they were the ones who created Crusty Demons. And Crusty Demons 1, which I had a small part in, that's when I was still racing dirt bikes, was like, it blew up. Like the motocross industry like went up, like I said, like 20-30% dirt bike sales just from those movies, because people were buying dirt bikes to go ride for fun. They weren't racing them. They were just going to ride them for fun. And I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right? It's like people just going, okay, I don't care about the racing. I'm just going to go free ride. And it was a massive era, dude. Like massive. Like, you know, where everyone was wearing the flat bill hats.
Yeah.
Black socks pulled up, long dicky shorts, the wife beaters, like that whole look and movement, you know. I feel like we were just like a big part of that. And it's cool. I mean, that's a cool era.
And then that went into Metal Mulisha?
Yeah, so that was when freestyle motocross was starting. We had the first freestyle park at our buddy's house. Our buddy Larry had a bunch of land, so they built a massive freestyle park. It was like all dirt, you know, big jump. Looked like a big BMX park, but like 100 times bigger. And so that's where it started. And then they basically said, "Hey, X Games, check this out." And it was actually a guy, Mickey Diamond, an ex-racer, who created all this stuff and brought it to X Games, and they showed them. They said, "Yeah, let's make this an event." And that's kind of how it kicked off. And Crusty was around a few years before freestyle ever went to X Games. You know, it helped birth the sport, but X Games is what legitimized it into a moneymaker. Right. You know, that's what made it the corporate deal.
And did you see that immediately? Immediately, like that was a huge opportunity if you could get to X Games?
Oh, it was huge, yeah, because I was still racing, like kind of just getting almost like kind of out of racing in 98, 99, and that's when X Games started, was 99. So I was still racing like a little bit, but doing freestyle, and I was doing these videos and the Crusty Demons, Moto Triple X, and I was getting paid by companies to do them. Like Etnies Shoes was paying me a salary monthly just to do free ride videos, and that was unheard of. And so I started getting paid. I was, you know, with Volcom when it just started. Me and Mike Metzger, one of the guys who helped start the sport. And we were wearing Volcom clothes, riding dirt bikes instead of gear. And so that, I just remember, and Black Flies shades were big back then. And you know, a lot of these companies that were like edgy, like built on some of these companies built on drug money. Like it was like an edgy time, you know, and everyone was like wild parties and the pimp and hoe parties and all that, like all this shit that was kicking off. Right?
What's the pimp and hoe parties?
You never heard of that?
No, I haven't.
Really?
What is it?
So that was in like Huntington Beach, where like they would have these big parties and guys would dress up as pimps, and the girls would come as mainly strippers, you know? Yeah. They come to these, you know, clubs, and there'd be like, dude, hundreds and hundreds of people. Yeah. And then, you know, dance clubs, and they would put on these parties. And, and it was basically action sport guys and snowboard and all the action sport scene. And back when it was pretty loose, you know.
All pretty chill guys.
Yeah, right. But no, there was the company supporting that, which is crazy.
Yeah,
like,
that is.
So you had companies that were like, they're throwing these parties. And so if you're these athletes, like ride for these top companies, you're the shit, right? And you go to these events, and it was like what you saw in the movies. And I was this kid from Nebraska. And I come out like pro dirt bike in Nebraska. People are like, yeah, cool, dude. Like, you pro dirt biker in SoCal? Okay, now we're getting shit done, right? Yeah. So anyhow, I mean, it was definitely a cool era to live in, you know, as far as the 90s and stuff. But yeah, that only lasted so long. But we were able to, action sports was able to create its own vibe when it started. We were like, okay, we're gonna all have fun, you know, all this kind of fast-paced scene. Corporate money was there. They did it our way. There was big companies that were paying big money that were the party companies, that were edgy companies. And those over time got weeded out. But at the time, is like, what company could I ride for that was going to pay me a bunch of money but had a cool image, you know? And it was so image driven back then. You're like, who had the coolest athletes? That was it. Who had the coolest team, you know? And that was just the vibe back then with all the companies. And it's like, it was Volcom, Black Flies, and, you know, you had Etnies Shoes. that were just like certain brands were just like the shit if you had those brands. Right?
Yeah.
You know, DC, like, there was just, it was just a time, you know, era that was so image driven.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Probably fun for you at that time.
It was fun, yeah. And like I said, being a kid from Nebraska, I'm like, I ate it up, dude. I was like, this is like shit I saw in the movies, dude.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds nuts.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so that, I guess that got phased out as you got older. You didn't want to start taking the risk, so then you got into, or I mean, the risk, all of a sudden, there's a risk reward thing. Like, is this worth it? This big risk is, now you starting a family, things like that. So then you got into the car racing, right?
Yeah. So, you know, it definitely went from racing dirt bikes, supercross, motocross into action sports, freestyle motocross. And that era lasted from like 99 X Games to about 2009 was my run. And as, you know, Travis double backflip, sport was evolving, younger guys coming in, foam pits, all the stuff, the sport was going quick. Yeah. And I'm like, so there's come a point, as any man does in sport, you're like, okay, I'm kind of becoming the relic here and I don't want to take the risk. I started getting to the point where I was dropping in for X Games. Like, you know, they're like, okay, go, you're live, TV, boom, getting ready to drop in down the ramp and hit the ramp. And I was nervous. I was like getting to the point of like, dude, I don't want to, like, I'm getting scared, you know? And I'm like, used to be like, I can't wait, dude. I freaking can't. I'm going to send it and I'm going to freaking, if I crash, so what? I don't care. I'm just like, the medics are there. I'm good. Like, and then I got to the point where I'm like, man, I don't want to crash. You know, like I'm like, been through so many injuries, so many broken bones, so much surgery. And I thought, okay, dude, I got to find something else. It's not fun. You know, I sit up at night before the event nervous and like, because it's just fun. It's a 50-50 the next day if you're
getting older. You're immortal. The key is like, I think you're at your best when you think you're immortal. Yeah. I can't be hurt. Yeah. I can be hurt. Maybe I'll be fine. Yeah. But yeah, when you know that maybe I won't be okay. Yeah, that changes.
So then I'm like, what can I carry on with all this relationships and partnerships I have? Where can I go? And that was car racing. I'm like, because you're in a roll cage, and it is much safer. And so, fortunately, at the time, I was with Rockstar at the time, and they said, hey, why don't you come over and check out this truck racing? So they took me to the short course racing and showed me this truck racing with the LeDukes, and which is a family that raced. And they were with Rockstar, and I went and watched. I'm like, dude, this is like motocross and a race truck with a roll cage. I'm like, it's pretty cool. Yeah. So they said, all right, we'll help you. They put me in a race truck. I got a race. I got smoked. I'm like, frick, dude, I'm like sucking this thing. And then I'm like, you know what, though? This is my avenue out of freestyle. Like, this is kind of almost a sink or swim. Like, if you're going to keep staying freestyle, for sure, you're just can't, who knows when the next, you know, when the
could be one more day.
Yeah. So got into car racing. I said, okay. I went and bought an old junky race truck and said, I'm going to practice every day. I'm going to figure out how to race these things. And I studied the best. And so I went into that. And within a season, I was like 15th, 10th, 8th, 6th, you know, each race. And I finally got on the podium. And I'm like, okay. Then I started winning races. And then I got a good equipment, proved who I was. Rockstar took a chance on me. And then I started getting sponsors to pay for me. I had to come out of pocket the first few years quite a bit. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to invest in myself because I know I'm going to believe in myself. And I invested and it worked. And I, started getting endorsement deals, you know, millions of dollars coming in for truck racing. And I mean, I was at the pinnacle of off-road racing. You know, I was racing Pro 2, Pro 4, which is four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive, 1,000 horsepower engines, had like 5 of them in my shop, these engines at like 70 grand an engine. Like, and we were building race trucks out of my shop. I had semi trucks and all these employees, and it was like, it was gnarly. It was intense. And we won a lot of championships. I had a lot of fun. And that way, and my daughter was able to come up and learn. They had a kids race during the pro racing in the morning. So I put my daughter in the kids class, and I was able to groom her into car racing. And actually, Hayden and Hudson both raced go-karts, raced karting. I thought that's what they were going to do. Yeah. I go, I don't want to race dirt bikes, dude. It's gnarly. So we tried to put them in car racing, and eventually they veered us into dirt bikes, you know. But a lot of people don't know that story. But so I did the car racing for, it was almost 10 years of off-road, and was able to keep my sponsors and all my endorsement deals. X Games brought in rally car. So I got to race rally cars at X Games and I was still at X Games, which is cool. Yeah. And that's thanks to Pastrana. He's the one who brought it in. And I ended up winning X Games gold in a rally car in LA, and I think in 2011 or something. And I mean, which against some of the best rally car drivers, you know, and which was freaking hard, dude. There's no better driver than rally car drivers.
Really?
They're the shit. Like, there's no better driver. So, so I, you know, did that, truck racing, car racing, and then about the point when that started winding down, you know, I had my own off-road tires, Deegan tires. We had all these licensing deals with all these car products. And man, I just felt like we kicked ass. Like we go to SEMA every year, SEMA car show, and get all these sponsorships, had all these partnerships, and I mean, just what I could talk about in marketing and business and licensing is crazy. Like, I mean, how many contracts I've read, like how many deals I've done, and people don't see that part of it, you know. And that is, if I could say, my forte in business would be marketing and licensing. Like, I've just done so much of it. Yeah. And it's trial and error. I feel like I tell my kids, don't take advice from anyone that hasn't been there and done it. Yeah.
I was going to say, who has done what you've done? Is anybody?
I'd say, you know, the guys I think of is, guys that have made money from the sports that I've been in is probably only really Pastrana is the only one other business guy that has a lot of business going on. You know, with his Nitro Circus, and he's when I say business, I mean creating jobs for your friends and other people in your community. You know, that's business. You know, and so, and I was able to do that with Metal Mulisha. I was able to create jobs and opportunity and pay the riders, and it created business. And I give credit to Travis for doing that. But I look at providing for more people than just himself. But there was probably count the guys on one hand that have parlayed out of the sport. Yeah. I don't know. People just seem to get stuck in that rut and ride it till the wheels fall off, and then then it's done. Yeah. I see that happen so much, and that could be a whole nother subject, but it's like a negative subject I don't want to touch on.
I totally admire your journey, and it's what I've tried to do. I like hiring people. I want to sponsor athletes. Yep. You know, there's this track athlete I'm working on a sponsorship for. So same thing. I want to do it, and it's not normal because people normally in my industry are, if you can get a few pro contracts, just a little bit of money, it's like, oh my God, I'm there's not really a professional bow hunter, but if you're sponsored, that's like being a factory rider. You know what I mean? And then if you ever had a bow with your name on it, that's it doesn't get any better.
Yeah, so you got to break some barriers down.
Yeah, so it's tough, but that next level, like what you're talking about with that, being able to provide and like the big vision and making it happen. Yeah. I love that about your journey, because you came up, that is your stories. I mean, has there been a movie on your story?
So they did a documentary.
But it was years ago, right?
Years ago. Yeah. It's called Bloodline. And it was done by Paul Tobley, he's done a lot of documentaries. He's good at documentaries. He did one called Unchained, the story of freestyle motocross. It's just I love documentaries.
Me too.
Yeah, I prefer to watch those over everything. I've watched every documentary in F1 and car racing. I love it. But I feel like we have chapters. The last chapter was when I think Hailie was probably around 17, 18. So the last documentary we did was probably 5 years ago or so. I think it's probably time for an updated one, right?
That's
it'd be cool.
Yeah.
So I tell people, if you really want to understand who we are, you can watch that documentary Bloodline. It's on YouTube or whatever, and it really tells our story of who we are up until like 4 or 5 years ago. But it's a small town kid story.
But like, to me, what I see now. So maybe like in the last 5 years, so if that was stop 5 years short, what I see is like, I don't know if you'd say this, but are you bigger than the sport, your name?
What sport?
Motocross.
Motocross.
I mean,
I would say because I'm in many different sports, I would say, because I'm into car racing, and the motocross, supercross, freestyle motocross, off-road trucks, rally cars, it's, I would think, I have an audience outside of motocross. And that's when I think of, bigger than the sport. you can see that in a negative way. No, but I feel like, have I reached outside of the sport and have an audience outside the sport of motocross?
Yeah.
Yes. Like,
so how do you navigate your deals when you're arguably, maybe people, maybe the sport would say, no, we call the shots, you're just personality, whatever. But how do you navigate deals when you have that much power?
Yeah, I'd say the deals, like I try to navigate deals around what I'm doing. I say, hey, we are a family that races. You know, right now I'm focused on my kids racing and supporting them. I still race myself. I still race Can-Ams and go race King of the Hammers, which is a very tough, brutal race through the rocks in California. And I still race off-road. I'll go to Crandon this year and race it's the biggest race of the year in short course, getting in like a, 600-700 horsepower race truck and go 100 miles per hour, 20 deep through the first turn with 20 other trucks. It gets your heart racing. So I'll still do that stuff because I still have, endorsement deals with car products and manufacturers and all this stuff. So I touch on that, but a lot of people know like my story is a family story at this point with YouTube. And so I feel like the partnerships have to mesh with that. If I'm trying to do a partnership, I'm like, and you want me to go do something off the wall that's not on what we're doing, everything I partner with now, it goes with our brand and where we're headed. We don't script what we do. We just film what we do naturally and show people. Like, hey, this is what we do at the races. This was our race weekend. These are the people we met. This is the funny stuff we saw. And we show people that, and the sponsor's like, hey, we like that story. So, wear our hat, wear our shirt, maybe plug our product in your video. But like me standing there and going, hey, buy this product. No. Just like, bro, I'm not doing that. Yeah. And I feel like even bad, like tagging things that are like, hey, buy this sale right now. Like, and I get companies that want you to do that. 'Cause like, hey, but I'm like, if you can save my audience money on a product, cool, let's do it. Yeah. But if it's salesy, pitchy, I try to you know what I'm saying.
I don't tag any of my sponsors. I'm like, if people want to know what I use, I mean, they know. They see what I'm using. Yeah. So it's like and I know there's other people in my industry who tag, like even has nothing to do with what they're doing, but it's a sponsor, they tag it. And I just think that it loses its value. Yeah. So I'm like, no, they'll figure it out. But for me, it's been, I mean, like the industry gets so used to like, this is what we do. This is a formula that works. Like if I have a sponsor, they say, well, there's these 3D shoots where like what we did today. Yeah. And there's these big 3D shoots where everybody's at. And I'm like, they say, we want you to go to this shoot. And I go, all those people already know me and either like me or hate me. Why don't I go to Washougal and shoot bows in front of a whole new crowd? Yeah. And just convincing them that, oh, that's a good idea because it's a new market, that is hard. Because they're so used to this is a formula that works. This is what we've always done. And that like the magazine and the TV contracts, those all they did it for so long, it's hard to get out of that. That's why I was wondering, like with you, with your name, it's like when you're bigger than the sport, how does the sport deal with you and like dealing, and how do you navigate, your business dealings or your partnerships? I
feel like I get what you're saying. When I say, and I will, I guess, make it clear, like when I say our web goes out further than the sport, right? So our tentacles go much further than just motocross. But obviously that's what we're focused on right now. So that's where the most attention goes. There's a ceiling on, me and the guys that help manage, the guys that I work with that help manage us, we've been with forever. We grew up in the same town. They're just buddies, and I would trust them. They trust us. Good relationship. But my point is, there's a ceiling. Like there's a ceiling in your. I'm sure there's a ceiling in your sports. There's a ceiling in motocross. There's only so much that the companies are going to pay. Right. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to get the multi-million-dollar deal out of some motocross company that, only going to pay so much. So that's up to you and your sponsors and your marketing machine to reach out. I send so many DMs to companies that I want to like. I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? I'm so and so. Like we pitch, like we work it. You know what I'm saying? Why not? There's there's windows, right? And we have a value, so let's get it out there. And most people are like, hey, I didn't think of that. You guys have a cool story. Yeah, let's talk. You know, and I love it. I love that part of it. Let's get on the phone. I love the negotiations and talking.
It's exciting.
It's cool. I enjoy that part.
It's exciting. It's like so I'm curious on your opinion on this. So a lot of times you're with a sponsor for a long time, like say 20 years, and they kind of take the relationship for granted a little bit. Maybe another sponsor comes in and says, hey, what if we paid you this? Would you come over? And it's double what the outfit you've been with forever would pay.
Yeah. So, and that's happened. And, man, that would get me into a long story, but long story short, I was with Monster. It was Hansen's Energy first. I was, friends with Mark Hall, the guy who created it. We were testing Monster before it even started. We were doing taste testing in his office and logo drawings. I had the first Monster logo on my dirt bike for X Games printed off a printer. So I was there from the start, right? So me and my buddies were blowing up the Mulisha thing with X Games, and Sobe No Fear came to us like, name your price. And we're like, shit, we're young. We're like, yeah, bro, let's 6-figure contracts. We're like, no way, and I went back to Monster. I'm like, hey, let's do the Monster Mulisha. Let's get the whole crew and this will be cool. And they were listening. They thought, we're just not ready for that. Like, we don't have budget to get all your guys. And I'm like, young dude, look at No Fear. I'm like, bro, they're going to pay us that much money. And so we left and we went into No Fear. And we had a good run. They did all No Fear gear. The crew looked cool. We had, good run with merch. And then the checks quit coming. The checks started bouncing. I went down to the office. I'm like, what the hell, dude? You need to pay us. And it freaking crumbled. Yeah. And what a freaking reality check, dude. And then at that point, we had a lot of value. So Rockstar jumped on us. Boom. We had Rockstar Mulisha. We helped them a lot. They helped us a lot. It blew up. And we ran that kind of rebel Rockstar thing for many years. And they supported us big time. But there came a point where they started trying to sell to Pepsi or trying to sell their company, and things started getting a little sideways.
Yeah.
And I'm like kind of going, okay, what's happening here? And the good thing is I always keep relationships. Like I never burn the bridge.
Right.
And I learned that from a young age when I did burn bridges. Like God taught me, don't do that. And so if I can give you any advice, don't burn the bridges as much as you want to, freaking, get them. You just don't. Because you know what? I was able to talk back to Monster, my dude, and Mark, and say, hey, dude, there's an opening right now. Rockstar is kind of calling my bluff right now, saying, well, if you don't take this deal, you ain't getting shit, And I'm like, I have a window right now. I can go do another deal right now. There's a gap. And they said, all right, cool, right there. Boom, send a contract that day over. And I was like, damn, all right, here we go. And I went to Rockstar, I walked back in and said, guys, I got another deal. And they're like, couldn't really believe it. They're like, okay, that was quick. And why did that deal happen? It happened because of the relationship I kept.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, Mark, when I left, I said, hey, they're going to pay us this much money. We're young guys having fun. He said, dude, take the money then.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not mad. I said, yeah, thank you for everything you've done. I said, thank you.
But that's rare because, even companies have egos.
Yes, that's rare. You're right. That's a kind of dream scenario. But they ended up taking me back. But it taught me, it depends what the company is, right? If a company is going to keep you at a certain number forever and you're worth more and you're worth more and worth more, and if there's another company coming in that has bigger visions, they're going to be around for the long haul. Hey, that's business, dude. You know what I'm saying? It is. And the company, if you've come in like Monster did to me, they said, hey, dude, that's a good offer, dude. Take it. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's what good sponsors do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I've had that happen multiple times where companies are like, bro, we cannot match that. That is freaking good. Like, you should take that.
Yeah.
And you kind of feel like, oh, well, fuck you, dude. Like, you don't want to pay this? Like, it's a weird.
It is weird.
But it's a respectful thing. Them going, you know what? You have good value. Get your value. And most companies aren't like, hey, we'll be here when you come back. Nah, it doesn't always happen. So,
And then here's what the problem I have is companies, They're quick to say, hey, budget cuts, we got to cut you back. They're not quick to say, you know what, you've been kicking so much ass. Here's more. Here, we want to up your contract.
Yeah.
Why is it never? Why is it like that? Why can't they recognize value before you want to go shop and say, you know what, these guys, I'm kicking ass.
Yeah.
I deserve more.
So the way that I've done that is with companies like, hey, so-and-so is paying me this. I feel like we're doing really good right now. We're going to go on this film trip, or we're going to do this project. And this project, man, I could really use an extra $100,000 or a couple $100,000, whatever. Like call them, hey man, I got this project in line. We really want to do this thing. Can you support it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. Yeah, all right. Yeah, we'll cut you a check for that. You guys are kicking ass. Boom. It's not like, hey, pay me more. It's like, I'm going to provide you this thing that's pretty cool. It's going to get a shit ton of views. It may cost us $25,000, but I'm going to charge you 50, and you guys know that, right? Because you're gonna put it to the board.
But here's a line item you use for marketing.
Yes. Go get this out of the budget that's already there,
right?
And where everyone's checking their boxes, everyone's happy, and let's go. And that's the way we've been able to grow deals. You know, especially with social media now, like, hey, I got this idea. We want to do this one-off, you know. I got this trip we're going on. We're going to cover it, you know. So-and-so is going to be there. We're all going to share the post, you know. That's the way that I've been able to get more money, you know. Yeah,
you got your personal sponsorships, and you got your film projects, and you got your whatever else.
Yeah, nowadays, you know, you get podcasts. You got, you know, it's like coming out, just doing special events, you know, holidays. Like, there's so many reasons to do one-off cool things, you know, like releases of new products. There's so many things you can use to
you have to, because with social media, you have to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
You can have your anchor items, but there has to be other stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, that reminded me. Oh, here's what. So you don't do a podcast?
I used to do a podcast. Yeah.
So we were talking about this because we kind of fell behind, but we'd been doing like a Shit Talkers Weekly.
Yeah.
And like, if you did, you know, after the race weekend, like just like behind, like what happened, that would blow up.
Yeah. God, yeah.
It'd be kind of like the Shit Talkers Weekly.
You're saying it would be Shit Talkers Weekly, like telling the behind the scenes, or combating the shit talkers?
I don't know. It could be anything. We do it. We talk about all sorts of crazy stuff. But people like, you know, I have the guests on, I have outliers. Like, this is going to be a huge podcast. Yeah. But people say, we also love Shit Talkers Weekly.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can have, it's just different. Because when you're with the guest, you're more, it's just more structured.
Yeah.
I'm asking you questions about you. But when you're just bullshitting, it's just different.
Yeah.
So sometimes people listen to podcasts because they want to hear what you have to say. Sometimes they just want to turn it on and go on a run and just not have to think too much, just kind of laugh.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel there's, oh dude, trust me, I have so many ideas go through my head all the time. And with like after the race weekend, we could do the funniest, like narrate our weekend, like Hayden's maybe his whole side of the weekend, what he thought, right? Because he had some close calls this weekend,
he did.
Colliding in the air with other riders.
God, I know.
In his mind, he has his side of like, hey, this is what I was thinking in the air. And this stuff people are never going to get to hear now.
People love that, dude.
Yeah. And I agree. There's so many sides so many things that we see. That's why I did a post on my Instagram today that kind of showed some of the behind the scenes stuff. Like, we get a lot of fans that come over, and a lot of little kids who, like, this one little girl came over this weekend, drew a picture of Hayden and had I Love Hayden shirt like she made. And I'm like, she's, you know, in the crowd, they only give the riders 20 minutes a weekend to sign. It's dude, the line's 1,000 people around the motor, around the coach. Like, only about 100 people actually get something. And so I feel bad, you know, we all feel bad, but like I tell the fans, we are there for first and foremost to win this race, right?
Yeah.
You know, and there's only one guy gonna do that, you know, and we want to be that guy. So, but we respect the crowd we've built. And so, like I said, there was this girl who drew this picture, is probably 6, 7 years old. I'm like, oh man, like Hayden's inside studying tape, eating lunch, and we've kind of made a pact. Like, when he's locked in, focusing and working on stuff, we just don't let him do his thing, right? You know, let him focus. And I said, oh, this kid, all right, grab the girls, let's go. And I walked her into the holler, and she gave Haiden her picture, and you could tell she was nervous, like fixing her hair, clothes, like, and Hayden's like, hey, what's up? Let me sign it. Thanks for doing that, and signs her hat and her picture, and her mom's crying in tears, and I'm like, dang, okay, and I was like, people don't see that,
right?
Yeah, and so I posted that. And I said, this is stuff that happens during the races that people don't see, and the media is good at posting the bad, gnarly stuff, the funny, goofy stuff he says online just because it gets views. Yeah. Okay. And I'd say the media is media vultures, right? Yeah. That's just what they do. And it is what it is. Like it or hate it, whatever. So that's why we tell our side of the story through social. But like, I agree with what you say. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people aren't seeing, and I feel like that is something that I would like to start pushing out more and more, because right now we push out a lot of content, but it's basically like it's racing, the competition. I don't know, it's kind of the basics.
It's I just know even like having Garrett and Eli out there shooting the bows, people just don't. They never see that side of. They don't see those guys high-fiving each other because of a bow shot. You know what I mean? So the crowd was just like, "This is amazing." They saw these people like be human. And it's just, I don't know. I was curious about that. Well, so I'm going to switch gears a little bit because I was wondering about this as you being a parent, but it is a dangerous sport. It's like, isn't that like kids die every year doing this? How do you think about that?
Especially recently, our sport.
Are they getting faster, more aggressive, more gnarly tracks? What's going on?
The sport has always been dangerous, right? There's always been deaths in our sport. It's always been like, the thing about this sport is, you break bones frequently, and it's like, oh, so-and-so broke a femur today. Oh, yeah, it sucks. How many months? 2-3 months he'll be out. And imagine if that, like when a guy breaks a leg in the UFC, it's like everywhere. Like it's a huge deal, right? Like highlight clips over and over. Motocross is like, oh, no big deal. It gets annoying to me, right? And I'm like, man, it's the sport is so gnarly, and these guys push so hard on the weekends and during the week that people don't see. And that dude, I'm so nervous. I watching my kid like every weekend, mainly nervous on the start when they take off, because that's so crazy. 40 guys going through the first turn, hauling ass, fighting for a little piece of real estate. And man, the whole day I'm just like, dude, the whole day I'm so nervous. And
I know
I'm watching that ever gonna go away.
I'm watching the time even as just a spectator, and like every minute, it's risky. Every second.
Every second.
You never know, because also it's like, even if you're the greatest rider out there, you're out there with a bunch of other riders. And when you start lapping people, it seemed like that would get pretty intense.
Yes, and that's, Haiden was racing a year ago, and a lap rider who were very dangerous. A lap rider fell on a landing, and he comes down the hill. I'm like, no way. I was in the tower watching. I wanted to tell him, like, dude, don't hit the jump. And I watched it all go down. He had like 5 seconds before he jumped. He come down the hill, turns, hits this big jump, and the rider's bike's on the landing. He freaking lands right on it. Boom. Flips in the air, lands right on his back. Fortunately, he's tough and gets up, runs back to the bike. I'm like, no freaking way, dude. And I'm like, how do we fix this? And I'm like, bro, I've been racing cars for a long time. We would never race without communication, without radios.
So they don't have, do the riders not have anything?
Nothing. Nothing. And I'm like, comms exist. We use them for coaching during the week at times. I've talked to the AMA, I've talked to the series. I'm like, guys, please get comms on these guys. I go, it is a safety concern. And I get it. A lot of guys are like, I don't want people talking to me. Okay, cool. Then choose not to run your comm, dude. You don't have to. Like, and maybe the comm's only for when the pit board area, when you go by and down that straightaway. Maybe that's the only time your mechanic can talk to you. You can't talk back to him. Who knows? Maybe there's regulations at first. But there should be a point where so-and-so's down on the triple. Don't jump the triple. Like, obviously quicker than that. Hey, don't jump, Where I feel like if I had a comm with Haiden when he's coming down that hill, all I would have said is, Haiden, don't jump.
Yeah.
And that's all you know. And
Yeah.
we would know before, hey, these are our code words. And when I say don't jump, it's because something bad's on the other side. So
Right.
trust me, just roll it and go. And it's a safety thing. And I would love if they would introduce it. But anyhow, my goal is, like I said, you always try to limit the risks, but you're racing a dirt bike, the bikes are getting faster and faster. 250 now has 50 some horsepower at 250, which when I grew up racing, you'd go from 80 cc to 125 cc. A 125 cc had like 35 horsepower. And that's where you'd learn. And then you go to a 125 Pro, and then 250 Pro was like the 450 class. And then now it's switched to these 252 strokes that are super fast. Kids are getting off mini bikes and going straight to these 250Fs that are like crazy fast. And you would never do that back in the day. It's double the power than the bikes we had to learn on, big bikes.
Yeah.
And dudes, with like Carmichael, we've had these discussions. I said, with speed comes more danger.
Yeah.
That's it. Faster bikes, more danger. It is what it is. And so how do you limit that? How do you protect that? I just feel like the OEM should have had a discussion with the riders, and the OEM should have been like, hey, how fast do we need to make these dirt bikes? You know, like they don't need to be that fast. The 450s are too fast, dude. Way too fast. But anyway, there's good racing. You get a good racing without that speed, I feel. But
Yeah.
you know, that's my opinion on it.
Yeah. Because I thought I heard like there was a kid that died about maybe a month ago, but didn't people land on him?
Yeah, so from what I understand, it was a kid, actually my son knew, same age, I think around 15. Young prodigy, fast kid, you know, crashes, and sounds like he got hit from another dirt bike when it went into him, ended up, you know, instantly killing him. And I don't know if there's any fixing that. You know, who knows? It sounded like it happened pretty fast. I don't know the exact story, so it's hard to comment on it because there is instances that happen so quick that there's no one can do anything about it.
Of course.
And but yeah, like learning from that, you're like, okay, what do you do to fix that? And I have a list of ideas. You know? I feel like there's a list of ideas for the sport to get better, but man, it's always such a hurdle to get stuff. Like people just don't want to change, you know? Like, people want to keep it to the old ways. And I'm like, dude, the bikes have changed. So, you know, time for the safety to change too. But
well, I mean, you know, NFL's changed with their helmets and concussion protocols and different things like that. So because the athletes are getting faster, stronger, you know, the big hits have always been what people want to see. Same with the racing, like intense racing and bumping into each other and aggressive. That's what sells, kind of. But you got to take care of your athletes.
Yes, and the sport has gotten better. If you get a concussion, they do make you sit out till you can pass the test, which is good. Like the kid that crashed this weekend, he crashed, is knocked out, gets up, he's still racing around the track. They did black flag him, which is probably the right thing to do there. But for me, for the sport to advance, it needs to go down the path of the most advanced sport in America, NFL, right? NFL, you got basketball, baseball. There are leagues. They have leagues. They have basically doctors that look after the athletes, right? And there's protocols that they have to follow, and it protects the athletes for the long term. You know, there's life after sports, and I feel like that is a number one thing we need to get the sport into, because now it's blowing up. Sport's getting huge, dude. So it's time for that. We need our leagues. We need the protection of the riders. The riders need insurance. They need disability insurance. They need to be taken care of. And for me, the whole another thing, and I'm freaking gonna start a nuclear war right now, but like basically, how many people come to those races buying a ticket because they want to see Jet, they want to see Eli, they want to see Haiden, they want to see their stars. Okay, boom. Tracks are getting, I don't know, 40, 50,000 ticket sales. And you're sitting there and these riders are getting literally not $1 of ticket. Well, not $1, you know? So I'm like, dude, come on. Like at the end of the day, the teams are paying to be there. The OEMs are paying the teams. It's a system. It works. I mean, it's hard for me to say anything because I have kids at the top making good money. But, dude, I was a privateer. I was one of those guys that was, like, struggling. So I get it. I have a heart for that. And in the end, I just want to see it fair. You know, I want to see it fair for the riders. And I want to see riders be able to make a good living and not be, like, broke up at the end of their career with not enough money to, like, make their next move, you know? And I think it's easy to say, but how do we fix it? You know, we're all in. We're trying to sell as many tickets as we can for you guys. Like, like we're doing our part. We're doing
putting on a
YouTube,
show.
social. We're doing 3 videos a week. We post every day. Yeah, it helps our partnerships, but it also helps sell tickets.
Yeah.
You know, and we can go overseas and get paid $200,000-300,000 a race to show up. You know, why is that not happening here, dude? You know,
well,
so I don't know. I mean, like that's gonna blow up. You know,
well,
but there's more to it.
There's like even the UFC kind of gets beat up for not. If you look at the revenue and what the fighters get, it's 20% or something like that, but it's zero. Sounds like for motocross.
Yeah, there is a payout. There is a payout for the riders, but like I think it's for like Haiden won a Supercross. I think it might have been $5,000 for him to win that Supercross.
Who pays that?
So that is paid by, I think it's paid by the AMA. So you pay a fee to race, you pay for membership, and you pay an entry fee. And that goes to like a purse that pays out to the riders. And it's been the same for many years. Like, so at the end of the day, there's a very, very small payout that goes to the riders. And it's just enough for like guys to get gas money, get to the next race. So that is their purse, right? The only one that really pays is the SMX series. At the end is the playoffs, the 3 rounds. It's $1 million prize to win the 450 purse money, $500,000 to win the lights class. But the caveat to that is usually the OEMs pay that fee. They don't pay that fee for those 3 rounds. So you're still getting your chance to win it, but it's paid by the series, which, man, imagine if both paid.
Yeah.
That'd be a great job for these guys making decent money for what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not saying the money's there, is not there. I don't study the books, but I just know the tickets, they're selling a lot of tickets, you know, the stands are full, which is good for everyone. That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
It is great.
Right? So, like, everyone's doing their job. So, it's just my opinion on it, you know?
you can have it. Yeah. I did want to say, it's like what a tragedy that young man who just died was that we were talking about.
100%.
And it's just, man, I just was like, as an outsider, how could that be avoided? Of course, you can't avoid all risk. You know, there's going to be risk. But, yeah, I like your ideas on safety just because these kids are, man, it is gnarly.
It's gnarly.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, it's super, super crazy. But like people know, like like it's, when you go bow hunting bears, the risk.
There's risk.
There's risk. Like you do it, it sucks, but it's life, right? It's
weird. It's like it's the more risk, the better.
The more exciting.
Yeah, the more exciting. The higher the stakes, that's what we want.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you can't. We don't want it all gone.
No. Yeah. And so I agree. You can be on both sides of the fence there. Without that, I mean, is there excitement there if it isn't that risky, right? Like people watch UFC they want to see a knockout.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And what's that for? Some guys getting knocked out, right?
Know.
You want to see the slap competition? It's only cool when one dude gets knocked out, right? Like,
I know.
Isn't that weird? Like, dude, just freaking brain just got shocked.
God.
You're like, yeah.
I know, it's nuts.
Yeah.
It's I do want to get your opinion though, because you've had such a long career, been involved so long. How do you get to be the best? Like why is Haiden the best 250 rider? Why is it Jet Lawrence? Who's the number one 450?
Yeah.
But what makes them the best today? Because I've heard you say like it's these teams, they have to get together and have to train every day. Is that mandatory?
The OG way, and like the kid who crashed was Aiden Zing. And
right. Yes, I read that.
Yeah, that was to honor and give respect. That wasn't just some kid who crashed. It was, this kid Aiden Zing was an awesome young talent coming up and good family from what I see. And talked to a buddy who's close to them. He said, dude, they're just good people, It's a heavy situation, dude. And so, that sport, that's why I get so like emotional with the sport. Like when when they don't recognize the dangers of the sport. Right? And that's why I feel like, okay, if the sport's doing well, you got to pay these gladiators for what they're doing. So, but if you're, the question I've been asked many times is like, why is Haiden the best kid in the lights class on, like to just say at his team on Star, and when they all get coached the same, they all get the same coaching program. Which is, think about that. So they all are doing the same motos, the same gym workout, the same routine. Which I kind of had a hard time with that for a while, but then I tried something different and it didn't work. And then we went back to the old. You
had a problem because you felt like you're taking away Hayden's advantage if everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah, I felt like, why are we doing the same thing when Hayden needs he needs what he needs. He needs what he needs, right? And we need to focus on his weaknesses,
right?
And we kind of built a program around that, got away from our normal training program with the team, and it honestly went backwards. Yeah, I'm cool. I can say that. I'm not scared to say is I don't always make the right decisions, dude. You know, like sometimes I'm willing to try and figure it out. If it doesn't work, cool. Tried it. Move on. Let's go to the next thing, right? Yeah. So why is Hayden the one that, wins on the weekends? It's comes down to, and you look at like, I can't totally speak for the Lawrences because I'm not them, but I can see what their path, which is, similarities to what we've done. As a young age, we really focused on the foundation and we focused on how many skills can we get Hayden before he turns pro. And at our house, we had a skate park, BMX park, foam pit, trampoline. We had a freestyle park, a motocross track with massive rhythm jumps, huge doubles, a turn track, sand track, oval flat track. Not kidding, dude.
Must be nice.
Yeah, must be nice. Who built all that shit? So he touched all this stuff, and so his foundation, dude. Like, when people are like, man, when he crashes, this dude rolls and gets up and runs back to the bike. I'm like, yeah, have you ever seen skateboarders crash down in LA in the city?
Knowing how to fall.
They know how to fall. They roll out of it and they're good. Like, how do you think that happens? Because they learned how to tumble. And that's something Hayden learned at a young age with trampolines and on mats. And we always had mats because we were always into jujitsu and always into the fight. We used to have backyard fights back in the day in our garage. So we've always had wrestling mats. Yeah. In our office, we had a gym in our office and we'd have like fights in our office. But anyway, so Hayden grew up around, tumbling and all that. So he had a foundation built. So when he got to train with the pro team, I feel like he had a better foundation. And he was raised in a household that was raised by winning championships. Like, that was what the vibe was in the house. Yeah. You look at a lot of these kids are just Ricky Carmichael, Chad Reed one day told me, they're like, champions are born, they're not built, like in motocross. And I said, no, I don't believe that, dude. You can build a champion, Yeah. And I look at it, I'm like, damn, dude, are they right? Like, because why are certain kids just really good at the sport? Because there's certain kids that come from, like, the dad's a plumber or the dad's electrician, and like he rode a little bit and the kid's just really good. Like, yeah. But I feel like those guys, that's my opinion, those guys, when it comes to like championship level, multiple championships, being the grinder and like being the dog under pressure, they don't have that little extra. And I feel like that little extra comes from the upbringing, the household of the community he's grew up in, of like, dude, it's win or nothing. Like, you win at all costs, know, and whatever it takes, if we got a freaking, like, I tell my kid, if I had to drive to California tomorrow to get you something to help you win, I'll do it, right? Yeah. Like, we don't care, whatever it takes, dude, and they grew up on that, and they saw me build race teams. They saw me win in rally and trucks and dirt bikes, and they grew up around that, right? So you don't think that rubs off on them?
Yeah. It's how you speak. It's how you walk around. Yeah. It's how you carry yourself. It's how you, whatever. Yeah. It's like all that matters with the kid that's watching. Yeah. And it's like, because I thought about that, I'm not saying that I always won, but I always wanted to win the handstand contest in school. I always wanted, like, the jogathon. It's just like, so when you've been competing since you were 5, and now I'm 57, so say 50 years of competing, that people notice in your family, they will notice what that means. And when you look at things, like you critique things you're watching on TV, the words you're using that the kids, it's going to affect your kid.
Oh, big time.
So it's like, no, we compete at everything. I think is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah, I feel like my kids grew up around a competition every weekend. Mm-hmm. We were at the racetrack, we were at some X Games event, and not just competition. They grew up around cameras, around the media, NBC, ESPN. They're always at the house doing features, and they grew up just around that. So when the cameras come around, they're super natural. Like people are like, your kids are good. I'm camera. Yeah, they grew up around it. So yes, the community or the atmosphere they grow up in is heavily weighs on who they become and how they compete and how they see winning and losing. Right. And I'm not saying they go, what would dad do? They know what dad is going to do, right? They know, like they know what mom, another formula to success, which I ain't going to let all my secrets out. But I think for at least us, it was mom and dad were aligned on the racing, winning, and being tough. Like so when they crash and fall, get up, you're fine. They couldn't run to mom and be like, oh mom, my arm, I don't think I can race, I don't think I can train today. She's like, dude, you're fine, go. And if it's broke, it hurt, we're gonna fix it, right? We're on it, right? We know, like I've been through enough of that I can tell when it's real or not, at least most of the time. So anyway, my point is that together, if you have one parent that's a little like can be the softer, there's a time for it, but if they're the softer, like kids can run to them all the time and get that out, it's going to be a tough battle. That's going to be a tough road to form a kid to a killer, right?
Definitely. I get that.
So anyhow, and there's two sides to that. Like people they see the competitive kids and they say, but a big thing for us is like, if we're not at the racetrack, we really push to be at church on Sundays. That's a thing for us, know? And wherever we're at, we go to chapel service at the racetrack, we make a priority to do that. And I feel like that to us is important. It's a foundation. It shows responsibility. It's a guideline. It's a manual for us, and I think like, would I be where I'm at without that? I don't think so. I feel like I've leaned on that many times, and dude, I'm a man. Things come through my mind all the time. I'm like, okay, sinking this, that. Well, what's right? What's wrong?
Right.
And that to me is trying to give that to my kids so they have a fighting chance. Yeah. Man, it's a war right now with the internet. We don't need to go down that path, but it is a war with the internet.
I know what you're saying.
It's a war. So
so if you have that positive foundation and the family, the anchor, and you can build off that. The competition, all that, the killer instinct, great, but it has to be built on the right foundation.
I feel it does, and I know it's easy for people to point fingers and easier people to say, well, if you're a Christian, why are you guys doing this? Why are you doing that? Why is this? And I'm like, like at the end of the day, we believe what we believe. We do the best we can, you know what I'm saying? I never said we're perfect, like nowhere near it, you know what I'm saying? We do our best to raise our kids in a certain way that we do it to give them the best shot at life, I feel like if we just say, go do what you want, whatever you feel like doing, it's fine, just have fun, like, and I just don't feel like we'd be doing our jobs,
So I agree with that. I'm curious on the training, and I was wondering how much body weight affects performance on the track. Like, how much do you pay attention to every ounce? Because what I do with the racing and the hunting, we're always looking at ounces. Ounces matter, and then fueling matters. Like in these races. But how much are you guys looking at body weight?
So the crazy thing about sports here are with certain sports, like look at basketball, you have to be tall, right? And not to get off on a different subject, but imagine if they had a rule in basketball where you had to have one guy that was say 6'5" 6'5", one guy that's 6 foot. You have to have a guy that's 5'8". You have to have a guy that's this. You imagine how much more opportunity it would give people.
Yeah.
Like, you're right. You know, your kids want to play.
Yeah.
You know, the big leagues will never can because of their size.
They're 5'7".
Yeah, like me on Nebraska football. I'm like, bro, I can too small to play football. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So
that's not fair.
Yeah. But you know, so motocross.
Right.
The bike is built for about a 165 to 175 pound rider. That's kind of what they're built for. About probably a 5'10", 5'11" rider is kind of what dirt bikes are built for. I'd say. It's not specific, but that's a range. And you know, Haiden being on the shorter side, you know, but he's stocky and strong, which is a good advantage.
Yeah.
I feel the smaller riders have an advantage outdoors. I feel like their legs are shorter. They can lay it into the ruts. They don't get their legs caught up. You look at the best riders to ever ride a dirt bike. Ricky Carmichael is probably 5'7", you know, 155 pounds probably. Next best guy, or another one of the best guys, not next best, but James Stewart is 5'7", probably 150 pounds, you know, like, and so these guys are the best. Supercross is always changing. The jumps are changing. The whoops are getting bigger. The whoop section do cater to a taller leg guy. That does cater, but you can get it done shorter. You can get it done with good technique.
How come? Why does it cater to?
Because the bike's teeter-tottering through a set of whoops, and the bike is going whoop to whoop to whoop, like going back and forth. And that's just the pure science of distance to your butt. Yeah. The bike's not hitting you in the butt because you're tall. You know, it's letting the bike work a little more. It's I mean, for Supercross, tall helps. And now guys are leaving their legs on more instead of sticking their legs out in the turn. So that's going to help tall riders also. But overall, I don't like, it's kind of an odd sport that you can have a kid who's 5'7", 5'8", 160 pounds, battle a guy who's 6 foot, 180 pounds. Like, I figured Tomac's got to be 5'11", 6 foot, maybe, I'm guessing, 180, 190 pounds.
Yeah, I think he's small. I think he's a little smaller.
Okay.
I think so, but I don't know.
Yeah, so, I mean, he looks like a big guy when he rides a dirt bike, like a big dude. And so, like, March Banks, big dude. You know? It hurts you on the starts, the weight. Because your bike has to pull that weight. Yeah,
if it's 15 pounds from 155 to 170, 15 pounds has to matter.
Yeah, it's like a lot of mud on your bike.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
But and you can get it. 450 is a fast bike. You can get it done being heavy. That kind of is an equalizer. The 250 class, the weight does matter because the bikes aren't as fast. But what is the perfect size and weight? I don't know. You know?
I was just curious. I didn't know if it mattered. I was just wondering.
Yeah, I would say Haiden was a little heavier in Supercross just because the training wasn't as hard. Motocross is harder than Supercross. End of story. Like, there's guys that will battle with Haiden. Like, when he goes and races Supercross, there's guys that will battle with him. Outdoors, they're not even close to him. He dusts them.
Yeah.
Like, why? You know,
there's more separation.
There's more separation. There's more speeds. There's more obstacles on the track. In Supercross, if one section on the track can make or break the race, okay, then the rest of the track must be pretty easy. It's a whoop section that usually makes or breaks the race. And outdoors, it's not one section. It's like mini sections that add up. So I'll stand behind that. Motocross is harder than Supercross, hands down. Like, it's just more risk, more, and I don't know. I wouldn't say more risk. It's just the speeds and this. I think, my opinion, that it's to be a good motocross guy that wins. I just feel like you still deep down inside, the riders respect those guys the most. There's just more respect there. That's maybe I'm old, maybe I'm old school, but I just feel like the most respect comes to the guys who can rip a moto track.
Well, and how much, to me, looking at those shadows at Washougal in the trees coming into the sun, to me that seemed like a huge challenge.
It's very difficult.
Is that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you get good at that?
Just knowing the track and knowing where the
doing
ruts
homework or what?
Most of the time in the practice in the morning, the ruts shape up, and that dirt's so hard there, like a rock, that once they shape up, they're there all day.
They're going to stay.
So once you kind of know where they're at, you kind of aim for those. The worst case scenario is they water before the races because they keep the dust down, and it's slick, and you don't know where those water puddles and pockets are. And you go in there, and the front end washes out, the rear end washes out. That's the worst case, especially at that track. That track is like hard packed.
I see.
Yeah, it's super. The dirt's super hard.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a different technique, a different bike setup. There's much to winning that race. You know, Hayden's won it the last 2 years there. I mean, he's been 1-1 every time going there. His rookie season, he won there. A kind of a breakout ride.
Okay.
You know, and this year, I'm like, dude, I wanted to win the race again. You know, because he knew it. He had that pressure on him from when we got there.
Right.
He had the pressure of everyone. You 1-1. You're gonna win. You're gonna win.
Yeah.
And you're a kid. Like you're like, yeah, it's a pressure, dude. I don't care what people say. Like, leading the points. You know, you're the points leader. Why is there only one points leader? Because it's freaking hard, dude, and it's pressure. You look at the guys he's battling. Like Sho Shimoda's awesome, dude. He's a great rider, but you know, comes on strong at the end of the season, and he's giving Hayden a run, and that's great. Please battle him, give him let's keep pushing him, right? I love it when it's tough.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah,
you know, I love to see him push because next year's gonna be very difficult. He's gonna have to race 450 class, and dude, it is gonna be tough.
Yeah,
we know that. So let's get ready. You know,
right? Is he ready for it?
I would say, is he ready today? I feel like we all know there's little things we need to like fix, not fix, but little things we need to sharpen, like sharpen the sword a little bit. You know,
like what's one thing?
Well, I would say perfect laps. Like,
what do you mean?
Not making mistakes, minimizing the mistakes.
Okay.
Because he's more old school, likes to just twist the throttle and just go, like lay it down, you know? And he's more of a racer too. A lot of people get caught up in the qualifying and think, oh, you got to qualify first. You get no points for that. There's nothing for it. You get gate pick, which helps at times.
Yeah. But
in the end, there's dudes like Cooper Webb who are like, qualify, you know, whatever, 5th, 6th, and go out and win the main event. Because they're dogs, they're racers.
Yeah.
And that's Hayden. He'll figure it out when it's race time.
I see.
Yeah, he's been qualifying first quite a bit this year, but like this last weekend, he didn't qualify that good. He's like, dude, I'm fine. Like I know how to race, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I guess it's like sparring or something during the week, being lax, and then you know go to in the main event, you just kick ass, right?
Yeah.
There's certain guys that are just gamers, you know.
How I was curious too. We got a few more minutes, but we have 8 minutes. How much is like? Because I think these kids, when they're very young, they're identified to have talent. Do they have to ship off away from their family to train?
It's tough
to be the best.
I would say no. I think you could get it done on your own if you have a little bit of property and you built your own little track and you have a good coach. Nowadays, you have to have a good coach, like
a coach.
A coach.
Like, are you? Hayden's coach?
I would say I've been his coach since he was a little kid. There's no question of that. You can say I'm the dad, whatever, but there's no one, like I'd leave no like stone unturned, you know, like I've hired dozens of coaches for him.
Okay.
I love more coaches, the better. I love learning from everyone.
Yeah.
I feel like if you can't listen and learn from people, I don't even want to be around you, dude.
Yeah.
You know,
I get that. Right? I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've listened. That's
the whole point to this podcast, so I can learn. That's why I do this.
Yeah,
I want to learn from the best.
Right.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and likewise. So I feel like I love taking in information, and I like Hayden has done like a ton of coaching, a ton of different coaches, and everyone has their little pieces, you know, to the puzzle to build and just get to your question, can a rider do it on his own? I feel like yes. There's one kid that kind of did do it on his own with a track. Like this kid, Cole Davies, is good. He was trained by Ben Townley. Ben Townley is a great coach, but he's in New Zealand, so he's hard to get a hold of. And he caught him kind of in his backyard track or their facility over there. I've never been there, haven't seen it, but he was good.
Yeah,
he coached him great, and your kid turned out good. So it can be done.
Right.
The best scenario is though, your kid earns a factory ride at a young age because he's a good amateur and gets on a team, and the team builds him. That's the formula right now that's working. You know, but I think you can get it done on your own. I think we could have done it on our own with the right coaching, but you need good equipment, dude. You got to have good equipment. Like the Star Yamaha team has a race shop, engine, suspension, techs, we go train there, and they're on Haiden 24/7 when he's there. They're dialing in his bike, his everything. So that's the new formula, you know.
How much is training a part of that?
They train. He gets back on a Sunday or Saturday usually, and then Sundays are recovery day. They're on cycling Monday, training Monday, like gym stuff, and then moto's Tuesday, Wednesday, and they do gym after moto too. So and then Thursday they're flying out for press day Friday.
Okay,
and that's every week. So they train
that's a grind
every day, dude.
That's a grind.
And now in the summer it's hot. Ooh. So to get back to what we were talking about earlier, the old school mentality of the Ricky Carmichaels was like train, the heat of the day. We're gonna motos, tons of riding during the week, and then he was a machine for many years, but I feel like that was so unsustainable, very tough. And
was he one of one?
He was one of one. Yes. Okay, yeah, and his mom and the mom was the driving force, not so much the dad in this scenario. But they were both supportive, and the mom is still at Star to this day, doing every lap of every rider on lap times on
just
the stopwatch.
Obsessed with it.
Yeah, she is a machine, and I love picking her brain. She showed me every training day of Ricky's, every year, by every month, every day on a piece of paper in a calendars. She had stacks of calendars. I go, could I see those? And I would like to read those. So I read them, and I'm like, dude, they are gnarly.
Really?
I'm like, this is the highest level stuff I've ever seen as far as like
tell me.
Grinding. Like he wouldn't ride till middle of the day. They said like 1 o'clock, like
to get
in the heat of the day,
to make it as challenging as possible.
Challenging as possible. Okay. He'd do. From what I understood, he would come back from the races. He'd be motoing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That they didn't ride. Thursday, they would
motoing on the track.
Yeah,
you mean
doing motos, like training. And his motos were he would do like from what I understand, 3 40-minute motos, which is like now the guys do like 140, 120, do a couple sprints, some starts, and that's a day, right? So he did triple the work. But he would go on the weekends and smoke everyone. I'm like, dude, so you think, oh, is that the way?
Yeah.
And my son's like, I ain't doing that, dude. That's
it
crazy.
Seems like the way.
I'm like, bro, that worked. And he's like, dude, that's why he retired when he was like 26.
Right.
He's like, he was the man. He
but
retired.
He's an icon.
He's an icon. Yep. And he did it. But my opinion on it is, how can you do it to where you're still enjoying it and you're not just I feel like there's a point where you can start tearing your body down, right, and taking days, if not years, off your life, right, just because you're grinding your body to the extreme so much. Yeah. And now recovery's a new thing. Like people are understanding recovery is a big thing. Yeah. Showing up at the racetrack fresh, ready to go. And
is it sauna, cold tub, diet? That you mean that? Yeah. Massage.
Yeah. All the things that probably fighters do. Yeah. That everyone's kind of knows now because of the internet. Like ice bath, hyperbaric chamber. We got infrared saunas. You have eating right, the vitamins, the supplements, and rest. Like to me, there's nothing better than just sleeping. Yeah, true. End of story.
I'm always fascinated with the top tip of the spear people, and I asked this American record holder, the best American marathoner we have right now. I had him here like a week or so ago, but he was like, he wants to be a good husband and he wants to be a good person. He's like, I'm like, okay, well that's good, but what about the guy who doesn't care about that? Doesn't care about being good. All they care about is competing. Yeah. And they're just going to train nonstop. They don't care about anybody. Yeah. Just what they want to be the best. So but does that, I don't know, because he said he's like in a marathon, he picked 26 names every mile he's running for somebody. So he cared about 26 people. Okay. Did that give him more of a purpose than the guy who's just like, I don't give a about anybody. I'm gonna kill everyone. I'm gonna beat everyone.
Yeah, how long does that last?
I'm gonna out-train everyone. I don't know, but maybe it only lasts as long as Ricky Carmichael. Yeah. And we're still talking about him.
Okay, so Ricky, I believe his motivation was not losing. He didn't want to lose. Okay. And I think he's retired on top because he's like, hey, I'm retiring on top. Instead of riding it out another 3 or 4 years, making an extra 5-10 million a year for extra 3 or 4 years, that's a lot of money. It goes when you want a certain lifestyle. Money goes quick, depending on who you're with and what your lifestyle is. But I think that Yeah, I feel like there's many ways to look at that one.
It's likely unsustainable that just all about yourself all the time.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's sustainable.
Yeah.
And I think what has been a secret to our, success, whatever you want to call it, is goals.
Yeah.
We have goals written. Like when I was younger, if you look at pictures when I was a teenager racing, I had goal sheets on my wall. All handwritten goal sheets. What I want to do today, tomorrow, the next day of the month.
Like how old were you?
Probably 17, 18.
Okay.
My dad, I was struggling with leading races at the time. I get out front, get nervous, so I went to like a sports psychologist and started talking about, the brain game. And I was great. He was like, hey man, let's start writing goals down and making, having a plan. And so that was kind of where I started with it. And I would do whatever it took, whatever it takes. So I just write my goals down. To this day, the kids do that. To this day, I ask kids at a young age, hey, let's write your goals down. What are we doing today? What are we doing this month? What's your plan for this year? What's your plans for next year? Let's write all this down. Let's write it down.
Yeah.
Like now it's scientific.
Because that makes it real.
Makes it real.
Yeah.
And scientifically now there's a percentage that how much more it is going to actually happen now. It's scientifically proven.
Yeah.
Writing it down, it produces.
Okay.
There's no question. For me, I'm still a note taker every day. Like I know you have your iPhone, you put notes in it, but I write notepads. I still write on paper and there's what I want to do, what I need to do. And that's when I get it done. I like mark it off.
That's awesome.
I'm like old school, dude.
We've got all the secrets on this podcast.
yeah. A lot of old school stuff, dude. People are like, I don't do that.
I love it. Well, okay. You guys have one question because he's got to get out of here.
Okay.
This is a peanut gallery. We got to entertain them.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, I'll choose the most important one. Marry, kill, racing dirt bikes, freestyle, or truck racing.
I feel like out of it all, for me, was freestyle. That was my era. That's what I was known for.
Gonna marry freestyle? So you got to one, marry one, kill one.
Oh,
so,
is that what it says?
Yeah. So one you can never do again. You got to kill it.
Okay.
One, you're gonna it. Just fun. One you're gonna marry. That's your anchor.
Okay. So I would say you said motocross, freestyle, or truck racing?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd say the truck racing, that could be
Kill it.
That's fine. I had my run in it. And the one I would probably it would be freestyle and marry it would be moto. Because I'm married to moto, dude.
Yeah.
Right. It is what it is. Like I've lived it like every day,
Yeah.
And my wife's even like, dude, like, is that all you think about? And I'm like, you know what? She's like, when you talk to people, you have so much to say when it's about racing. She's like, when I have friends come over, I have family or others that come over and it's not about racing, you don't even want to say nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? And I've studied this and I have done counseling. And I'm scared to say that. I've been to talked to many smart professors, not to say professors, but counselors and very smart people that have given me good advice on
human psychology.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I like to learn about that. And I feel like that has been something that has taught me to I feel like make the right decisions and I don't know, just kind of see the overall big picture,
Like have more perspective.
Like step back and go, okay, there's more to life than just this motor thing. But what I was trying to say for a lot of thought there was I get in a flow state.
Yeah.
When you have stuff you want to talk, when you love, when you like something you like, you get in a flow state. And moto's a flow state for me. I can talk about it all day. Good. I'm glad I found that.
Yeah,
glad I have that. Right.
I've told Rogan this before. I'm like, what do people who don't bow hunt? What do they talk about?
Shit.
It's like, and so that's kind of what I don't know what the people do or talk about is.
That's funny. Yeah.
So it seems like it's similar to you.
Yeah. In that world, you think so big.
Yeah.
Right? To you, that's a big world. Like, and I don't know that world, so to me, it doesn't really that world doesn't even exist, right? I'd like to learn more about it. But
I get it.
To me, it's probably moto to you. Like, it's cool. I went and checked it out this weekend.
Oh man. I'm fascinated by it.
Didn't even know that happened over there. Right?
No,
that huge event.
I didn't, dude. They were talking about this Washougal thing, like after I did the Supercross there at Seattle. And I had never, I'm like, oh, it's a big thing? I didn't even know.
Yeah.
So,
For like your biggest event for bow hunting, right?
Right.
Like, I don't even know what that one is.
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah. So it's but it's been amazing to learn about, and like all your, I've been a fan of you for a long time, but like to hear how your mindset and I mean, your story has just been amazing. So thank you for coming here and sharing everything. And I learned a ton today. Loved sharing archery with you and Mount Pisgah with you. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
It's a huge honor to have you here, Brian.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I guess I didn't say too, I don't know when it was, about a year or two ago. I didn't read your book. I listened to it on Audible.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm more of an Audible guy.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So I've listened to the whole story, and that's why I'm like, I have to make my way out there.
Yeah.
Because it's just, and at some point we need to have a conversation more about what you have to say too.
I don't have anything to say.
Yeah. So I need to I like to hear your story more too from you. But I've listened to your story on Audible and stuff. So it's why I'm here.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's been badass.
Tons of respect for you and your family. Love. I mean, I want nothing but success. Loved. I mean, I appreciate you as a friend now.
Yeah,
I mean,
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So
cool.
thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Good job, guys. It's a wrap.
Thanks.
Keep hammering.
Later.
Someone to blame, they sent their hate, it fuels my pace. I am Roy Tough, I am the change, the fuel, endure.